let's be honest here. Who among us hasn't at least once in their life gone, fuck it, I'm moving to Mars? Well, with fiction you can do that. See guys, this is why fandom is awesome. Hi everybody, Carla here, and guess what? This is my 50th video in the Talks from Freaking Narnia series. I am overwhelmed with just the mere idea that I've gotten this far. It's incredible. I mean, can you imagine me doing 50 videos for something? I talk so much, it's ridiculous. Anyway, I'm really glad to finally hit this milestone. I'm really glad to all of you who are watching these videos and sharing and commenting and liking these videos, so please, I hope you stay along with me for the ride for the next 50 videos in the Talks from Freaking Narnia series. Fingers crossed, if nothing goes wrong, I will be here every week to talk with you guys about topics that I love, so I can share with you my fandom and my energy and just the things that I love and don't love and just feel excited about in general when it comes to the fandom world, books, movies, TV, anything like that. So I just wanted to take a minute to tell you guys that I'm just really happy to have made it to 50, and here's to 50 more at the very least. Funnily enough, for such a huge milestone, come Monday I actually had no freaking idea what I was going to talk about this week. Then, thankfully, the eclipse happened, and although down here we didn't really get to see much of it, we only got like 27% coverage, and you couldn't really see it with the naked eye if you didn't have like actual filters in your glasses. You weren't able to see anything because the other larger part of the sun that didn't get covered kind of outshone the part that was covered, so I didn't really get to see it. If you've been to my Instagram, you will see what I mean. But still, I got to see the total eclipse in the States on TV, and it just reignited my love for everything space. As I mentioned before, I'm really into astronomy. I really love learning about space. So the eclipse reignited my love for that. Even though I didn't get to see it in person, at least I got to see other people enjoying it, and it makes me really happy. So I decided that today I'm gonna do a real quick video, hopefully focusing on my fandoms that I love that have anything whatsoever to do with space. These fandoms don't necessarily have to take place in space, although some of them do. They don't necessarily have to be related to space directly. It's more like these are the fandoms that somehow in my brain, for some reason, I associate with space. And I will tell you why each one is related to space when I talk about them, but it's not necessarily a direct relation. So if you are watching this and wondering, hey, that absolutely has nothing whatsoever to do with space other than the fact that these people are on Earth, there's a reason. My brain is weird, but I swear I will try my best to explain why I associate these things with space. So that said, not all of these are sci-fi either. Most of them are, but not all of them. Sci-fi and space in general has always been a huge part of my life, so I just wanted to have at least one video where I just took a moment to acknowledge that, because really, if you take a look at all the fandoms that I've been a part of through the years, space and sci-fi is quite a sizable chunk of the fandoms that I've been a part of. So I just wanted to take at least one video to acknowledge that, and that's why I'm listing these. It's not a ranking, so don't take the numbers as a ranking. It's not that I love number 1 more than I love number 10. They're in alphabetical order, so I'm not ranking them. It would be insane to rank them, really, because I don't think I could, honestly. I don't know how to rank these things. I love them all so much. Yeah, just keep that in mind, and now I'm gonna start with number 1, which is Cowboy Bebop. Cowboy Bebop is cool because it actually takes place in space. And it's one of those shows that when I watch it, I actually just hope that it's a glimpse of our future. Not necessarily the whole intergalactic mafia thing, but just the fact that there are colonies in space. Because this is the shit that I used to dream about when I was a kid and I was reading like Isaac Asimov's literature. This is the kind of thing that I wanted, for humanity to expand their reach into other planets and moons and all sorts of places outside in our solar system, at least, that someday we will get to that point. And steps are being taken right now to get to Mars, and maybe, perhaps not in my lifetime, but later on in the future, we will be able to have a colony on Mars. Who knows? And Cowboy Bebop is one of those fandoms that sort of reminds me of that ideal, that goal that I have set for humanity. That eventually taking a rocket to Mars might be just about the same as taking a bus to downtown. You know, it's just a thing that we do. And that's why I love Cowboy Bebop so much, apart from the fact that the characters are amazing and the storyline is great and it has that noir feeling that you don't normally associate with space operas. But Bebop is amazing. I love anything Shinichiro Watanabe makes, honestly, but I think Bebop is probably the height of his art in any kind of way, and I love that show. I rewatch it. I have it on DVD and I rewatch it often, so I just wanted to mention that one. Number 2 is Doctor Who. Now, I haven't really been watching Doctor Who recently. I was not a fan of the Capaldi era. I will definitely go back now that we're getting a female Doctor. For fuck's sake, it was about time. I'm so excited to see her, and I will definitely, absolutely, positively go back and watch Doctor Who when she takes over. But I haven't been watching recently with Capaldi. It wasn't my favorite era of the show. I did love the Eccleston. Eccleston is my favorite, honestly. I loved Tennant, I loved Matt Smith. Those were all great doctors. And the cool thing about Doctor Who, and the thing about Doctor Who, is that it's not really about the Doctor at all. Sure, I mean, he's sort of the main character, but really what draws people to Doctor Who is the experience that each companion is living. When they find these magical, quote-unquote, magical box and this incredible person who happens to be an alien with this box that can help you travel through space and time. And it's sort of what fairy tales call like being whisked away in a magic carpet, except this is being whisked away in a blue police box. So, but we all wish we could have that experience of becoming explorers of time and space. And I particularly like the space parts. I mean, there are episodes like that one first episode, the name is escaping me right now. I'm so bad with episode names. But the one with the Oods, where they find the pit in that planet, that was amazing. That's one of the best episodes of Doctor Who you will ever see in your life. It's not my top, just because Blink is so good, but apart from Blink, that one with the pit in the planet and they have to fight the Oods, it's just so incredible. It's space in a way that you haven't really seen space before, and it's so great. And they had so many other episodes where they go to different planets and meet different kinds of aliens, and aliens invade Earth, and it's just so cool that it's not just about time travel, it's also about space travel. And just the idea that a normal person, a normal human being who's not really all that important even on Earth in their own life, like Rose or Martha or Donna, can somehow be whisked away by this person and have those out of this world experiences is amazing. And that, I think, is what first and foremost attracts people to Doctor Who. Now, I haven't seen the original Who, so I've only seen the new ones from Eccleston down. So I don't really know if the original Who sort of evoked that, but that's what I feel when I watch the show now, the new version. So I think it's very important, and I think even as an adult it sort of triggers that wonder that we have as human beings, to know more, to learn more, to see more. And that's what I feel about space as well. So Doctor Who in that sense is very, very evocative for me, and I loved it. I will definitely go back to see it now that we're finally freaking getting a female Doctor. I'm so excited. I can't wait. Number 3 is Firefly and Serenity. And this is, for me, a lot of people talk about Buffy, and I did like Buffy, but for me, Firefly is kind of Joss Whedon's opus. And I know Joss Whedon's coming to like a bit of a crossfire at the moment with his personal stuff that I don't really like to get involved in. But regardless of that, it's impossible to deny that Joss Whedon is a visionary. And Firefly, as short as it was, it has made such an impact on people. Not just me, but on science fiction fans anywhere. It's like with Cowboy Bebop, when they mix sort of the space opera feel with the noir feel. Firefly blends so perfectly the space opera with the western that it's kind of two things that nobody would have ever thought you could put together except Joss Whedon. So for that alone, I give him credit. And just the characters are so great. I mean, come on guys, River Tam is iconic by now. River Tam was 11 before 11 was a thing. She was the original crazy psychic girl. My favorite was Wash. I loved Wash, and you could bet to all hell that Serenity hurt me deep in my heart. But it's a show that should have gone on for so much longer. I don't think the network did it any justice either, airing it out of order and all that stuff that happened with it. I'm glad to see that it came back for a movie. And so many amazing actors have come out of that show. I mean, Nathan Fillion, Morena Baccarin, Christina Hendricks, Gina Torres. I mean, so many excellent actors and actresses have now come to the forefront when they started in Firefly, and now they're iconic and they're A-class actors for life. I love all of them. I will watch anything that they're in. So Serenity and Firefly, definitely both of them left such a mark on me, and I know in all their fans. So it's important for me to mention that, because I don't want this show to be forgotten. I don't want what happened to this show to be forgotten. It's important to remember that networks should take sci-fi, fantasy, genre stuff legitimately seriously, because these things are important to fans, and I think Firefly is sort of the biggest example of that I've seen in my lifetime. Number 4 is Gundam Wing. A lot of people love the Gundam series. Not a lot of people count Gundam Wing as their favorite. I'm the sole exception, I think, at least out of the people I know. Every time I bring up Gundam Wing, everybody's like, oh, but haven't you watched this other Gundam or this other Gundam? And I'm like, I like Wing. Wing is my favorite. So yeah, giant robots fighting in space, never a bad thing, and the characters are so great. I mean, I still love Duo so much. He's like my ultimate beloved character, even though he's a freaking murderer and he's kind of psycho, and just he's so good too. And I think Wing did such a great job of keeping each character separate and giving each character their own personality. And again, it's that idea that we can sort of colonize space that just sticks with me. And all these characters, I love them so much. I love their ideals so much. I love their representation of war so much. The idea that these kids are actually child soldiers, and that tinges their entire life in a way that they just can't ever really get past. It deals with PTSD. It deals with so many things in the context of a space war show, and it's just so great. I will defend Gundam Wing to the freaking end. And even though I'm not the biggest fan of all the characters, really not, I still think that this, out of the Gundam series, out of the few that I've seen, I haven't seen them all, but out of the few that I've seen, this is the one that sticks in my mind, mainly because the characters are so good, and that idea of colonizing space it's just so appealing to me, so yeah. Number 5 is actually The Magic School Bus, and I know this is one of those shows that don't necessarily take place in space, but they actually did quite a few episodes in space, and I remember those because I loved when Miss Frizzle, her dress used to change depending on the episode, right? The pattern on her dress used to change depending on what the topic of the episode was gonna be. And every time I saw her with planets or asteroids or stars in her dress, I freaking cheered. I love The Magic School Bus, not just because of the space episodes, although those were cute and great, and I remember as a kid I learned a lot of new stuff from those episodes, but just in general. I mean, Magic School Bus was a show, and a show that managed to teach children so many things about science without being preachy. And there are very few shows that actually accomplish that. And Magic School Bus was one of those, and it's still, also I really love the characters, and you would say, well, they didn't really go too much into the character development. Of course not, it was a show for kids, it was a half an hour, it wasn't really in continuity or anything, it was just kind of standalone episodes, but you could still learn so much from these kids' personalities, and you could identify with at least one of them somehow. And I really love the show. I know they said like 3 years ago that there was a Netflix reboot sort of thing coming. I'm still waiting for that to happen, because seriously, the Magic School Bus needs to be a thing, especially in these times when people are sort of denying science and just not taking science seriously. I think the Magic School Bus is so important for kids these days, and it should definitely come back. Number 6 is Power Rangers, which, let's face it, the original Mighty Morphin is the only one I've really seen, and it wasn't necessarily a space kind of thing. Most of the action took place in California, and you could really only see like Rita and Lord Zed. They were in space most of the time. Then I watched the new movie, and it was so much more of a space thing. I mean, you could tell that Rita and Zordon and Alpha, you could tell that they were alien. You could tell that the Zords were an alien creation of sorts. And I really enjoyed that aspect of the movie. If you haven't yet watched my review of the movie, by the way, go ahead and do that. It's really long though, so just a warning. But I really love that movie. I've watched it twice already. I bought the DVD on my trip to Canada, and I really love that movie. So I really enjoyed the fact that they made it feel a little bit more alien, so that the Power Rangers, the power that they have, these kids who are very much Earth kids, very much US kids, in the sense that they're not exactly perfect, they're dealing with all this teenage angst shit, but the power part of it is really, really alien, and I really love that, and because of that, I just kind of associate the Power Rangers with space now, for some reason. So yeah, if you haven't seen the movie, please see the movie. It's a silly movie, but it will put a smile on your face, and it will make you, the characters will make you love it. So if you are a fan of the Power Rangers, the original, and haven't seen the movie, please go watch it. I'm still hoping against hope that Lionsgate will give it a sequel, even though it seems very unlikely, but hey, hope is the last thing released, right? So hopefully they'll get a sequel, and I'll get to see a little bit more of those alien technologies that I really, really enjoyed. Number 7 is, of course, Sailor Moon. I mean, how can you have a show where each of the main characters represents a planet and not related to space somehow? I mean, it's Sailor Moon. Come on. I loved Sailor Moon since I was a kid. It was one of the first really female empowering shows that there were out there. It was one of the few shows with female leads that you could identify with, and they were not perfect. They had their problems, but they were still role models to little girls like me at that time. And I really love the show. Sailor Mars will forever be my idol. I will be 70 years old and still wishing I could be like Ray when I grow up. Seriously, I love her so much, and I really love that each of them sort of had their own characteristics. Although, you know, in retrospect, and as a student of science, they didn't really tell me much about the planets themselves. I mean, why was Mercury attacking with bubbles in water and ice? Like, that makes zero sense. Mercury is the closest planet to the sun. So, believe me, there's no water there. But it was still kind of cute how each of them got their own sort of planet-based powers. Some of them actually fit, you know, like, if not the planets themselves, at least the mythology behind the planet. Like, Uranus was wind-powered and Neptune was water-powered, which doesn't tell me much about the planet, but the color of the planets is interesting, and it does tell me a little bit about the mythology behind those names. Mars was fire, because of course air is the god of war, and of course Mars is a red planet, and even Jupiter with the electricity. I mean, there's probably no electricity in Jupiter, but there are storms. Even though they're not exactly like our storms, there's a huge storm in Jupiter. So it was very interesting to me, and I loved all the sailors so much. And to this day, I just associate them with their planet, even though their powers really had nothing to do with them. But I just found it so interesting, and it was such a huge part of my childhood, so important for me, and I will forever associate it with space, even though most of the action took place on Earth. But it's really exciting. And hey, they had a moon colony, okay? So it counts, whatever. Number 8, in a similar vein, is Saint Seiya, which, again, takes place completely on Earth. There's really nothing outside of Earth that ever happens, but it dealt with constellations, and I've said this before in other videos, I still credit Saint Seiya for sort of introducing me to space and to mythology. I would watch the show and see these constellations and sort of be intrigued by them. And that led me to learning all the names and the mythology part of it. So both things I associated with. I associated with mythology, especially Greek. And I associated with space because it made me want to research more to see where these names were coming from. Where's Andromeda? Like, I kept thinking, you know, Andromeda is a galaxy, it's not a constellation, but I didn't know that when I was watching the show. I learned that later because the show made me curious to see where these things were, what they were they constellations, were they galaxies, were they nebulas, were they planets, what was it? And because of that, I will always have a special place for Saint Seiya in my heart. It was also an amazing story. I loved the characters, even though, you know, it was more kind of typical shonen type fare, and I wasn't really into the fighting, or the times that the fight, like one fight would take like 4 episodes. I didn't like that, but I love that it introduced me to new concepts and new things, and just led me to science, and led me to mythologies, and these are things that still live with me to this day. This excitement that I feel for astronomy in general and for mythology in general, that started with Saint Seiya, and I will forever be grateful to them for that. And I love this show. I will love it. By the way, Netflix is also doing a Saint Seiya remake, and I'm so excited. It's like my entire childhood is coming back, and I love it. I can't wait. Thank you, Netflix. I love you for that. Number 9 is, of course, Star Wars, because come on, you can't make a video about fandoms that take place in space without mentioning Star Wars. That would be kind of ridiculous. I have talked about Star Wars at length in other videos, so I will try to keep it short, but again, it's this idea that Star Wars and George Lucas in his original trilogy sort of managed to take that wonder that we feel as kids about these stories, these fairy tale stories, and stories about good versus evil and good defeating evil. And George Lucas grabbed those and put them in space with really cool spaceships and new planets and alien species, and it's just so freaking cool. That's why Star Wars became the phenomenon it is today. That's why Star Wars has lived for generations in the hearts of audiences everywhere, not just in the United States, but everywhere. Because it takes that magic, that wonder that children have, and pairs it with this real inventiveness and curiosity of setting it in space in a live action context. That was something that had never been seen before, and I think that's why it sticks with people I think that's why people are so excited that now with the special effects capabilities that we have today, that universe might be expanded even more. And I think that's what every Star Wars fan wants, really, to just see that universe grow. And I can't wait to see where we go with The Last Jedi. Like, I'm already counting down to the day the tickets go on sale, because I can't wait to see that movie. We've only had one trailer, but it looks so freaking good. Everybody's freaking out. And just a few weeks ago, Entertainment Weekly released a series of interviews with the cast and the crew and the director, and it sounds so great. It sounds like we're going to so many new places and seeing so many new things. And that's what I like about space, and that's what I like about science, and that's what I love about Star Wars. So I can't wait to see The Last Jedi. I'm just so excited. Really, I really am. And last but not least, there's number 10, which is Voltron. This probably just reveals how old I am, I guess. Not that you don't know, but yes, I really am that old. That I was actually a fan of Voltron, the original Voltron. It's in Go Lion Voltron, the anime from Japan. I love that show, and I don't remember much of it now because I have a terrible memory and I haven't really rewatched it since I watched it when I was a child. But I remember that I loved it. I remember thinking how cool the lions were. I loved the characters. Lance was my favorite and still is. Lance is awesome, and if you don't agree, talk to the hand. I don't care. I love Lance. He's great. So I don't remember much about the original, but I'm really freaking glad that Netflix took it and made a new version of it, which is amazing. It's on Netflix. If you haven't seen it, please go watch it. It's such a great show. It's going on a 3rd season. It just came out a couple of weeks ago. I haven't watched the 3rd season yet, so please, if you're commenting about Voltron, no spoilers. I don't want to know. All I know about the season is that Prince Lotor is coming back, and I'm so excited! I mean, I don't particularly remember much about Prince Lotor. I remember that I thought he was really whiny and arrogant, but I freaking love his name. And the new version of Lotor looks so good. I'm so excited. And come on, I can't be the only one who just loves saying his name. Lotor. 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 It's so much fun. And I can't wait to see him in this new season. I'm just so glad that he's here because Lotor is literally like the only thing I remember from the original. You know, the lions, Lance and Keith and Laura and the names of the actual paladins. But apart from that, I don't really remember much that was going on, but I remember that Lotor was there, and I remember that I love saying his name. That's pretty much it. It's such a cool name, and I can't wait to see it. I hope that they made him less of a spoiled little prince and more of an actual intimidating villain this time around, but we'll see. Just no spoilers, please. I haven't seen it. I will get to it soon. But I'm so glad that this show came back to Netflix because, first of all, it's gorgeous to watch. It's such a gorgeous show. It was animated by the people who animated Avatar: The Last Airbender and The Legend of Korra. So right away you know it's gonna be top-notch animation. But the story is so great. The characters are so great. I mean, they made some changes with the characters that I think are perfect, and I love it, really. It's just such a great show. The first 2 seasons were amazing. I can't wait to watch the 3rd one. It's gonna be such a blast. I will do that soon. I promise I will review it once I watch it, so stay tuned for that. And that's pretty much it for my list of fandoms related to space somehow in some way in my weird little mind. Do you have any fandoms in space that I haven't mentioned? Let me know in a comment. And also, while you're there, if you have any ideas for any topics that you want me to talk about in this Talks from Freaking Narnia series, let me know in a comment as well. If it's anything that I know anything about, if it's anything related to TV, books, movies, that kind of stuff, and I know anything about it, I will make sure to add it to my list of videos to make in the future, so please go ahead and do that. In the meantime, you can find me on social media. I am on Instagram and Twitter at girlsareweird with underscores between the words, and I am on Tumblr at girlsareweird with hyphens between the words. You can find a Facebook page for this vlog at facebook.com/FreakingNarnia. And as always, you can visit my main website at FreakingNarnia.com. All my videos are up there in case you missed anything. You can use that website to catch up, so be sure to visit. Also, you might want to stop by my Redbubble store. I have one where I make art of my favorite quotes from my favorite fandoms, and then you can use that art to print on different merchandise such as t-shirts, coffee cups, computer covers, all kinds of neat stuff. I also have Voltron stuff in there. The stickers are a great seller. They only make me 21 cents per sticker, but whatever, if enough people buy them, I will be rich. So please go visit my Redbubble store. Maybe purchase something if you're in the mood. It really does help me a lot. I will become rich someday. It just takes 21 cents at a time. And that's about it for me today. I will see you guys next week with another video from all the way in freaking Narnia. Says she as if freaking Narnia was an actual separate planet from Earth, but whatever. I'll see you guys next week. Bye! Who among us hasn't at least once in... These fandoms don't necessarily kind of hope that it's a glimpse. It's not really about Doctor Who at all. I really love that each of the